The question that everyone in the world is asking themselves is who shows up to today's show first? Head coach Todd Graham or Erik Ruby? Fine. Happy Thursday and welcome into the PHNX Sun Devils show, coming to you live from Studio K, presented by Circle K. Guys, join Inner Circle for free by downloading that Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. I am Anthony Totri, joined as always by the one, the only Captain Redbeard himself. He is behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen. We have set sail, but it appears that we have lost Erik Ruby overboard, at least for today's show. So do us a solid, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, head to the comments. Let me know where you think Erik Ruby actually is for today's show. If you're here, then you know we've got former Arizona State coach Todd Graham hopping on the program today. A whole lot of fun. Had the luxury of spending about 40 minutes with former ASU coach Todd Graham, which we'll get to here in just a little bit, guys. And it is absolutely some awesome stuff. He's got some stories of obviously his time at Arizona State, about some of his former assistants, Mike Norvell, who is now at Florida State, Dan Lanning, who is now at Oregon, and then, of course, some really, really funny stories about current Arizona State coach Kenny Dillingham, how Dillingham really weaseled his way onto that coaching staff. Definitely some interesting stuff. Also had a lot to say about current Arizona State athletic director Graham Rossini. It was kind of interesting to really dive into that relationship and how important Todd Graham thinks really just being consistent from the football coach to the athletic director to the university president, just how important that is really on a day-to-day level, just in terms of building a program. So if you guys are unfamiliar with Todd Graham, well, Todd Graham, again, was the Arizona State football coach for a handful of seasons. He is the only football coach at Arizona State outside of Frank Kush to lead Arizona State to back-to-back 10-win seasons, which, again, hearing the words back-to-back 10-win seasons and then Arizona State should just give you chills. Should just give you chills if you are a Sun Devil fan. Obviously, Ray Anderson was the athletic director at the time, really that let Todd Graham go when he did. And Graham really does get into a lot of that stuff that he, wishes happened. And really, this guy, there's a reason that the thumbnail says Sun Devil for life, because Todd Graham absolutely embodies that. And it sounded like he would welcome coming back to Arizona State at some capacity, maybe down the line, but you never really know until you know. So we will let's go ahead and turn things over to the one, the only former Arizona State coach, Todd Graham. We're joined now by former Arizona State head coach Todd Graham, back in the college football coaching world. Todd, we appreciate you taking the time today.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me.
Coach, since you were at Arizona State, Hawaii, now obviously as an offensive analyst at TCU, college football it's almost flipped on its head. What have you seen just in terms of how college football has really evolved over the years?
Well, it's constantly evolving. I think, it's the people that can adapt the best that are the ones that obviously are being successful, and still about commitment, but it's still about relationship. The NIL piece, the transfer portal, all that is what's got everybody consumed. Obviously, it's really, really, as far as the amateur part of it, is really, really changed dramatically. So the one thing that, from the time I've been in college football, which is 35 years ago, it's constantly evolved and changed, but there's still one common denominator, and there's lots of good things about things changing, and there's some bad things. I mean, I love the game. I want to protect the game. I think it's a great opportunity. I know it afforded me an opportunity to have a great life and get a great education, and so I love it. But it's still about relationship. It's still about, to me, coaching is teaching, and it's all about relationship, and the guys that can build those relationships and that can activate young people and develop them and get them better and to unify and put a team together. That's what it's all about. And but being adaptive has always been a part of it. I think lots of changes, with the NIL and the transfer portal, but still about relationship, and coaching matters even more so. And being adaptive, being able to individualize those things, I think, are big.
Do you feel like, since you've seen the game evolve over decades, do you feel like it's harder to be a head coach or any type of football coach now, or is it just different?
I think one of the things that's great about college football is every single person out there, is a coach, and they everybody has a coach in them, and everybody wants to tell you how you need to do it. I think one of the most important things uh, is, as a coach, is to be genuine, be authentic to who you are and what you're about. I think that it's the greatest profession on earth. I've never worked a day in my life because I went to work doing something that I love, and I love the game of football. I love building relationships. I love being around team and family, and so the people that are the best at doing that. But no, I don't think it's harder. I think it's in a lot of ways it's a lot better. I mean, like, back in the day, I remember my mother, when I told her I was going to be a coach, I'm the first one in my family to go to college. She said, "Oh no, why would you want to do something you're going to be poor the rest of your life?" So, no, I think that you're blessed to be a coach. I think it's a great time to be a coach. I think that, it's just a different day and age from the time when I first started coaching. You didn't have all the technology and the social media and all those things. And so I think that you have to still have a great plan about what you're going to do, and then to get an opportunity to be a coach is something that you have to have success, and it's all going to boil down to what you're able to get out of your players, and how you develop them, and the relationships you build with them, and how you activate them to a higher level.
Most definitely. The game obviously has changed so much since you were the head coach at Arizona State. I know a lot of ASU fans remember that time fondly, just of the football program and the mentality, and really what you were building. For you, what are maybe some of the fonder memories that you have of your time at Arizona State?
Well, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. No, I mean, the memories that I have are really the people that I coached, and the people that I was able to work with. And as far as our staff, we truly did it the right way. We had a great plan. We had a lot of success. 12, 13, and 14. And I think one of the challenges that you look back on is when you have success, you wind up having to replace people, and unless you're at the top of that financial rung in college football, that's just a reality. But I'm really proud of the people that we hired. You look at the coaches that we've hired and the success that they're having now with Coach Norvell at Florida State, Dan Lanning at Oregon. You look, I want to say there's 15 or 16 of my former assistants have gone on to be head football coaches. I'm really proud of that. And the players, that we coached, and, getting the opportunity to coach a Taylor Kelly and a Will Sutton, and the great players that I was able to coach there, James Strong. And, his picture sits right behind me. Last play of the game, the Jail Mary beating USC at USC, clinching the Pac-12 South at UCLA, and hosting the conference championship with Stanford. And I remember sitting in my office at about 1 a.m. The night before we played Stanford. I don't know why I was working that late, but I was trying to figure out a way to beat them, and because we were one game away from going to the Rose Bowl. So getting to build a relationship and to know Frank Kush, the great Frank Kush, and the former players, the Tillman family, and the relationship that I have with with Kevin Tillman and his family. Just being the ASU coach and getting the opportunity to do those things is just phenomenal. And then, I mean, just the great friends and family and fans that I have. I've got people flying in this week that are ASU fans to come watch us play Central Florida here. So I'm very grateful for the time that I had there. I'm proud of Kenny. I'm proud to have someone from our coaching family leading the Sun Devils, and I think really trying to do what we were trying to do. We were trying to win the Valley. We were trying to keep kids there, and that Arizona State University should be about the first and foremost the kids, from giving kids the opportunity from the state of Arizona and owning that, which is a major challenge and still is. But I'm really proud of what we did there, and very blessed and grateful for the opportunity that I had to be at ASU. And I'm proud of what we did there. I think we were 30-10 at home at Sun Devil Stadium and went to 5 out of 6 bowls. Obviously, we wish we could have, won a few more games. We were 4-2 against Arizona, and so those 2 losses are the most miserable, worst things ever happened to me in coaching. So, I remember those more than I remember the wins. But very grateful to our players and the coaches and the relationships I have and the great people there. It's a great place, and Kenny's got a lot of work ahead of him, and I'm proud of what he's done this year, and proud of the coaching staff. Brian Ward, I know very well, as the defensive coordinator there. I think is doing an amazing job. And man, I wish them nothing but the very best. I cheer for them every single week. I always will be a Sun Devil, and a couple of my kids went there and graduated from ASU. So I absolutely love the place, and will always be cheering for the Sun Devils.
You mentioned your coaching tree, and also those 2 losses, those don't exist. We don't remember those. We don't focus on those. All we remember is the 4. Okay, Coach, that's all we keep in our brains. You mentioned your coaching tree, and it's borderline unbelievable when you look at the type of names and the impact that they've had among all of college football. As somebody who can look at not only your on the field success and your players and how important that is, but a lot of people following under your coaching tree and finding success in this industry that's very hard to break into. What does that mean to you as somebody who's been in the game and seen it grow and evolve, to see that next generation come through your programs?
It shows the importance of coaching and teaching. I mean, when I went to hire coaches, first and foremost, I looked for guys that were great men and they were great teachers. Mike Norvell was a no-name person. No one knew who he was. I hired him as a GA. Kenny Dillingham was a no-name person who was basically hanging around the office and just bugged us so much until we let him sit in on the meetings, and then he wound up being a GA. But we attracted a certain type of people, I think, that have passion and enthusiasm for being a teacher. And I think whether it's Mike Norvell or Dan Lanning at Oregon, we had a process, and we knew that we could control the things that we can control. And so we spent a lot of time with the process of evaluating every single position. We didn't hire somebody's buddy or somebody to be the GA. We had a process. We wanted to hire the very best candidate we could have, and I wanted to grow my own. I knew that at Arizona State, because of where we were from a budget standpoint, a lot of people don't know this, but when I went there, we were the bottom 2 in money that we got to run the program, and that was a challenge. And so where we were paying our coaches, we're in the bottom half, and so you knew you're gonna lose people, because if someone can go double their salary somewhere else, it's really difficult to keep them. But if you grow your own, you're able to keep them longer. You build some affinity, you build family, you build team. And so I'm really proud of that. I think that we had a great plan. I think that's something that if you want to have success, it takes time to develop a staff and develop players. Well, here you're in NIL and transfer portal. You got to be able to have a team that's you train for at least 24 months to have a chance to develop them, right? And for a coaching staff, the people that are coaching and teaching and developing them, and more so than this, I think is what's critical at a place like Arizona State, that you have great coaches that can evaluate. And you look at the talent that we brought in from a standpoint in recruiting, the Jalen Strongs, the DJ Fosters, obviously were no brainers, but there's a lot of players that have played and had success at Arizona State during our tenure that we projected that a lot of people didn't have as 4 and 5 stars. We won and we're successful. I think average about 8 wins a year with mostly 3-star and 2-star guys. And so, being able to evaluate personnel is going to drive everything you do. So, I'm proud of the coaching staff that we put in place, and that wasn't by chance. We were very, very detailed, and we had a process that we went through to hire the people, and we had a profile that we were looking for, and we wanted diversity in talents. On a coaching staff, it's important that you have we can't all be the same. If everybody was like me or everybody's like Kenny, we'd drive everybody crazy. So you need to have diverse talents. And so you look at how, you got to have an offense, defense, and special team that really complements each other. You have to have an overall plan to win, and that's driven by personnel. And so that's something that I micromanaged. I spent a lot of time on, and very proud of the guys we hired and the players we recruited.
Todd is an absolute character. And we still have so much of that interview for you guys, and we're going to get straight back into it right after we take this break. Now, normally when we talk about Sanderson Ford, we're talking about the amazing deals that they have on their vehicles or their amazing customer service. But this time, it's going to be a tad different because we want to talk a little bit about the voice of Sanderson Ford. And for a long time, that was the one, the only legendary Al McCoy. It's obviously been an absolutely wild weekend change for the Arizona sports world. Losing an absolute legend in Al McCoy. I remember my very first time covering an NBA game. I never got the luxury of meeting Al, but I remember going into the Suns arena, and it's the Al McCoy media center or media room. And I remember just kind of sitting there in awe, being like, wow, if you can, there's a journalist that has worked their way up to being that level of a legend. And I don't know if there is really another word out there that truly encapsulates what Al McCoy was other than the word legend. Again, he was the voice of Sanderson Ford. I do want to also tell you guys about our friends over at Branded Bills. Branded Bills, the perfect headwear and apparel, guys. They have a ton of different caps and hats for you, whatever you are looking for. We're talking snapbacks, truckers, fitteds, beanies, or tees. Branded Bills has you guys covered with performance and style. I personally have a couple different Branded Bills Arizona State hats in my closet as we speak now. They're super comfortable, whether you're working out, whether you're wearing them for a podcast or just a normal day of work. Branded Bills, they have something for everybody, and they do have partnerships with ASU and U of A as a part of their campus collection, so be sure to check those out. Head to brandedbills.com and use code PHNX for 20% off your first order. Now look, Todd Graham talked about the changes that's going on in college football, the transfer portal, NIL. But this next chunk of the interview, we're going to get into some stories of Kenny Dillingham, Mike Norvell, and even Graham Rossini. I think, again, some of the stories that he has about Kenny Dillingham are just absolutely amazing. So enough of me. Let's get back to Todd. You talk about diverse talent and then Kenny Dillingham, the idea that he was somebody that was just kind of hanging around, right? Just wanting to be a part of it. And fast forward now in 2024, heading into, I guess, in the middle of year 2 at the helm of this program. What would you say his talent is, whether that be maybe during his time as a GA, just kind of hanging around, or maybe even now as the Arizona State head coach?
Well, I think the thing that Kenny has in common is with a lot of the coaches that I hired. He was a teacher, and he's a teacher. Obviously, his passion, his enthusiasm, sticks out. He's a very, very genuine and authentic person to who he is, and he's a teacher. And that's one of the things that was really, and a lot of people maybe not understand what I'm talking about. There's a lot of coaches out there that are recruiters. There are, the so-called salesmen and those type things. that was not something that I put a lot of emphasis on. I wanted I wanted to put a staff together of great teachers, great men that could build relationship with players and activate players, and that had the ability to evaluate and wanted to be a part of a very detailed process of doing that. So to me, Kenny, the thing that separates the guys that work for me is every one of them in their heart and soul was a teacher. So he started off being a high school teacher and coach, and that's been the common denominator with a lot of the coaches that I surrounded myself with.
And you can even see it in some of the coaches he's hired. His staff has been highly touted as some of the best high school football coaches in the state of Arizona, also teachers as well. And you can see that kind of traveling down. But I'm wondering, were there any funny Kenny stories, back at his time as a GA or him hanging around, anything that made you step back and just go, all right, this guy's something else?
When I think of Kenny, I think of persistence, and he had such a passion, wanted so badly to be around the program. Donnie Antis at the time, who's a great friend of mine, was that I knew. He had gone to Donnie and and was trying to get where he could sit in on Mike Norvell's meetings, and I can just remember being asked that over and over and over, and we obviously we didn't allow. We were very open to high school coaches, but we didn't really allow them into our personnel meetings or our closed door meetings or our film sessions where we were doing game planning and things like that. And so Kenny, he was just so persistent. And then finally, I think I was asked about 15 times. I finally let him come in. And then after that, it was a very short period of time. Mike was coming to me and said, "Hey, I think this guy fits who we are." And he said, he's got a great passion. I think he's really bright and smart. And he thought he could be an asset to us. So we brought him on board and developed him. But, I just remember, he was always, when I seen him, I would, I'd take a double take because he was talking so fast, and he was always excited, and wanted to be a part. And so I'm excited, I'm excited to have someone that was a part of our staff and a part of our family that's there, because Arizona State is a unique place, and you got to have a unique plan to win. And people always wonder what's the problem. Is one, there's got to be some continuity to build something. Two, because it's every 5 years there's just constant change, and that's something when I was there, I was all in. We were not going. I wasn't looking to take another job. I was looking to build that into something that I could build a legacy there. And I think that the challenges. It's just like if we're going to go and we're going to build a company. We're going to say, okay, we're all three going to go in. We're going to be partners in a company. The first and foremost, you better have investment. And so you got to invest your time, your energy, and your resources, and have the resources. Now with NIL, I mean, if you don't have the resources, it doesn't matter what kind of recruiter you are. You're going to have a difficult time. And really, it's always been that way. And so, figuring out a way to develop continuity, to keep great teachers together, to have some synergy about what you're doing, you can what a difference a year makes. Developing a program, it does take time. And I believe that it's heartbreaking to me to watch the last few years, and see the decline of the program, and something that I loved, that I put my heart and soul into. And so, I just hope they'll be patient and give them the opportunity and the time to build it back. And really to build it the way it needs to be done. And so that's going to be a challenge. And I think I'm glad to see it being done. And it encourages me to hear the things that they're trying to do, or the things that we were trying to do. And it's a shame we took the step back that we did as a program. And but I think that moving forward, to have something special, they're going to have to give somebody time to develop it.
Coach, you bring up the idea that there needs to be continuity. There needs to be some level of patience to allow this program to get to where it can be. We talk a lot on the show about you can't microwave success in today's day and age of college football. You have to slowly let it grow. Kenny's talked about this program being similar to bamboo, where there's just going to be times where you don't see the growth, and then boom, at a certain point, you'll see it. How important is leadership from the athletic department, from the university, to ensure that there is a level of continuity and that there is a plan in place that kind of fits all three levels of the football program, the athletic department, and then obviously the university as a whole?
Everything. Leadership is everything. I think one of the things that allowed me to have some success when I got to Arizona State is that, President Crow hired me. And so I had support, from him. And even though we weren't where we needed to be from a financial standpoint, as far as the financial commitment, we knew that we were going to have to figure out a way to do it. And I'm very proud that we had some great donors and alumni that stepped up and donated the money to build that north end zone and to move forward as a program. No, there's not anybody in the Big 12 got nicer facilities than what Arizona State has, but I had four different ads, and so one of the things that encouraged me is I really think having a Sun Devil in place, Graham Rossini, I got an opportunity to have lunch with, and I am very, very, very impressed with him. I think he's a sharp guy that understands the dynamics and the landscape of college football. I think he is a person who is a big process person that has a plan in place. He's a great listener. I know that the time that I think we spent 2.5 hour lunch, talking to him. I think his leadership is very critical. And I think having an AD that has that. I mean, I had Lisa Love, that I had Steve Patterson, and then I had an interim with Jim Ron, and then Ray Anderson. And you go, it's almost like a little hamster wheel. You just kind of go in circles because you got to have from the president to the AD, and then obviously to your coaches. It all has to be on the same page, and then there has to be a commitment. And you got to understand too, and this is something that I believe is that you have to build enthusiasm and excitement in the community. You got to be out. And one of the things that happened to me, I'll be honest with you, is I knew I had to raise money, and so I spent a lot of time doing that. After 13 and 14, we finished up in, I don't know, the 10th or 12th in the country. We had back-to-back 10-win seasons, but I was out there doing a lot more fundraising than I was doing probably coaching and recruiting, and then I lost Mike Norvell to head coaching job, and then then I stepped back and gave the defense to someone else. Therefore, I now have two brand new coordinators, and we had a 5-7 season in 2016. And really took a step back, and then obviously we got it corrected in 17. But if you don't have that one year, you don't probably still coaching there, and so and still building it, and so it takes time. People don't understand how important donor relations are. Graham is the right person. I am so impressed with him. He will build authentic, genuine relationships. He will restore. I think you have to have that donor support, and that's something we worked really, really hard on to develop, and we had it in place, and then it obviously that got fractured, and I think Graham is his leadership and him being there. The fact that he's a Sun Devil, I believe that he's committed to be there for the long haul. I think is very, very critical. So having from the president to the AD and to your coach, it has to be in alignment. And I think I had the support of the president when I got there. My relationship with Steve Patterson was great, and we had something going. We lost him to Texas, so that's kind of how that's the challenge is to keep continuity, to keep great people, and to have great leaders in place for an extended period of time, so you can develop a program and you can develop a plan and see a plan executed.
A lot of love for head coach Todd Graham in the chat. Goat Graham from Archer did Danger Witch 5. Graham in all caps. Click in the chat. He still looks young. Absolutely, guys. Look, we still have more of that Todd Graham interview that we're going to be playing here in just a second. Do us a solid. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button and drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. We are going to get to the rest of that interview, but we're going to do it on the other side of this break.
You know, I've had a neutral or two. I had a neutral too last weekend in that Arizona State game, and I must say they're really good. It was a public service announcement for all hard seltzer lovers. Neutral vodka seltzer has arrived. It's made with simple ingredients like vodka, seltzer, and real juice. I want to say that again, real juice. Neutral tastes good, like really good, and so good that you'll never want to drink another artificial tasting seltzer again. Neutral's light and refreshing taste will show you what a vodka seltzer can be. They have a variety of flavors as well, including pineapple, watermelon, black cherry, orange, and more. Nothing goes better than college football and a neutral vodka seltzer. Neutral, keep it tasty. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2024 Anheuser-Busch Neutral flavored vodka and carbonation, St. Louis, Missouri.
Absolutely love it. I also love our friends over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Guys, one thing to always remember when we're talking about Gila River Resorts Casinos is that nobody does it better. You can visit any one of their 4 locations, or hey, who says you have to stop at just one? You can go to all of them if you'd like. Look, every day I tell you about my favorite one, and that is a Wild Horse Pass. Maybe it's just because that's the one that I've been to the absolute most, or maybe because that's the one where I actually win some money, and I do so because they have a ton of different ways to win money. They got 4,500 slots and live table games, and that might be even keeping it short. They got more than that, guys. And maybe you're not so much into the table games. Maybe you want to gamble on some sports. You could do that over at any of their sports books. And up at Wild Horse Pass, they got a little Top Golf simulator. They have it all over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Guys, be on the lookout. We're going to be hosting events there all year long, including Cards and Suns, watch parties, and more. So stay tuned for info on how you guys can come hang out with all of us. Just a reminder, you do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playathela.com for more details. Look, we are going to get to the rest of that Todd Graham interview, but first I want to tell you to please, again, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. Also, go ahead to gophnx.com, okay? Gophnx.com. There's a great written story from our one and only legend himself, Craig Morgan, caught up with Todd Graham as well. Just a phenomenal story from Craig on that front. Craig also put out a story today just in regards to Jaden Daniels being back in Tempe, what Herm Edwards had to say about him. So if you're an Arizona State fan, that is definitely a good read as well. Also up on our PHNX Sports YouTube channel, Bo Brock, PHNX Cardinals host, and then, of course, Erik Ruby, the Hall Monitor, known for his time on this program, chatted just a little bit about Cliff Kingsbury, and then, of course, Jaden Daniels, their return to the Valley to see what's going down in that Cardinals game. So definitely give that a watch as well. Love all the comments and the love that I'm seeing for Todd Graham in the chat. We do have the rest of it. And guys, it's some fun stuff. It's some fun stuff. So again, enough from me. Here's head coach Todd Graham.
Last one for me. You've been fantastic. And one of the words that's really stuck out to me in all of your answers is the word activate. You've used the word activate a couple different times. And obviously that's one of the mantras that Kenny Dillingham has coined, saying activate the Valley, trying to, like you said, invest in the people here. You've mentioned your time with Graham. So you have intimate knowledge of the people spearheading not only football, but ASU athletics in general. Do you feel like they are in the right position to truly achieve that goal, to, quote, activate the Valley and see that success in the next couple of years?
I mean, I think they are. I think having the right people, but also you got to have resources, and that's going to involve raising money. That's going to involve, developing. And you have the largest, alumni base in the country. You have the largest university. I mean, being able to build that matrix and people giving back, people supporting, you build the culture and then you win championships. You don't win championships and build the culture. And so I think that's going to be critical. I think you got the right person in place at athletic director. Is one of the most impressive people I've sat down and met with. I'm still very, very good friends with Jack First and Bill Kent and some of the top donors that I was around there that gave big time money. And I think they're equally as impressed. But it's also, you're going to have to, there's a little bit of time that it takes to build those relationships, to activate those relationships. And so that's something I think that I think they are in place. But you're going to need resources. You're going to need support. You have the right people in place, and then you got to give them the resources that they take to compete at the highest level. And that's something that we're not there yet. We got a ways to go to do that, and that's something that I think obviously there's the fan base and the alumni and the donors. We need that kind of support there, and but it's hard because I think you get a little fatigued when there's constant change and you lose those relationships. And so I think it's going to be important. You got the right people in place, got the right leadership in place. And you gotta, you're gonna have to win games. You're gonna have to. I knew that. That's part of the business. You got to get out there and compete for championships. And when we were doing that, 12, 13, and 14, we're on that run there. We were in a great place, and then change occurred, and losing coaches, losing athletic directors, all those things are not easily. Handled and are easily recovered from. And so it takes time for that. So that's kind of, that's my point. I think you couldn't have a better leader who is vested. You have a dynamic, innovative mind in the athletic director seat who is a Sun Devil. So as you experience success, I believe that he's committed for the long term to be there because he's a Sun Devil. I think that's important to have people that get in. You can be committed there for the long term. If you don't have success, you're not going to be there. That's just the way it is. And I'm talking about when you win and you have success. And I believe when that happens, then you got to have you have the right people in place that are committed to be there. You couple that with resources. You're going to have the resources. And I think the thing that's really different about college football now is it's going to take a ton more resources because it's just more expensive to do business now. And the business of college football is such a challenge. And then as we move forward, and you're eventually probably going to have a salary cap. You're going to have certain amounts of money for players, and paying the players is coming, and having people that understand that, and having positions in place and evolve, not being behind. Most people in college football, they have 10 coaches because that's what everybody else does, right? As you evolve forward, personnel is such a big deal now. How the NFL structure, where you have a personnel department with a GM and a coach, and the college football might evolve more into that. You see Alabama investing in a general manager and that has great experience in roster management and evaluating players. Those things are going to be important, and that takes money and resources to be out there. That's one of the reasons why a lot of people, my plan was I wasn't going to hire a defensive coordinator. That's why I was the defensive coordinator, because I was going to I needed to hire an offensive coordinator and a strength coordinator. And then I also needed to have a great personnel office, because personnel drives everything. And so not having to pay a defensive coordinator actually helped me, because if you remember back, Mike Norvell turned down going to Notre Dame as the offensive coordinator because we were paying him $1.2 million. Well, if you look at what we were paying the highest defensive coach then, it was a lot less than that. Because so that's kind of, having a plan to be able to do that and to be able to do more with less, but never see yourself as less, and having a financial plan and a business plan to be successful is one that's very, very important. And if you're constantly changing, every time you change a coordinator, it costs money. Every time you change an AD, it costs a lot of money to do that. And now, you're sitting in a place where people that didn't embrace NIL are really, really behind right now. People that embrace the change and will evolve and forward thinkers. And to me, we think about ASU, we talk about innovation all the time. We need to have that type of innovative thinking from an athletic standpoint, from a football standpoint. Boys basketball, I'm great friends with Bobby Hurley. I think, Bobby's the right place. He's the right person, for ASU. I'm a big fan of his, but, it's been hard for him because he hasn't, just having the resources to compete and to recruit and to develop at the highest level. It takes the right leadership, and it also takes a commitment from the resource standpoint.
Absolutely, Coach. Just two more from me, and we'll get you out of here. I know you're a busy man. For you, obviously, there's a love for Arizona State. Just how do you want your legacy to be remembered at Arizona State? How do you want the fan base to remember Todd Graham, the Arizona State football coach?
More than anything, that I love them. I love the place. I was all in. I still am. I'll always be a supporter of ASU, and really, I want to be remembered for the relationships. Obviously, I told you the relationships I have with the fans there. I've got great relationships there to this day. I love the place. I love living there. I intend on living there the rest of my life, but this old guy has to get up and compete every day, so I got to coach, and so I'm in a great place now, and I love it. But I just want to be remembered for a person that gave everything he got. Loved the people, respected the commitment, respected the people of the state, respected the fans, respected the past, respected the alumni and the former players, and gave everything he had to try to do the best job that I could do. And I think from the time I got there and when I left it in a better place. And I'm not going to, it was heartbreaking to watch, what happened after that. And because, that's how much it meant to me. And so anything that I can do, I'm gonna help in any way. But that's where I want to be remembered. Someone that loved the Sun Devils, and how our players represented the university with class and character. We won, and we were successful. We did it the right way. And whether win, lose, or draw, man, we did it with class, and we represented. I always felt like it was important to represent the people that were sitting in those seats out there every week, and that's to give them what they want. And I think the people love that. They loved that we represented them with class and character.
Absolutely, Coach. On more of a personal note for me, in that 2016-2017 season was like my first year covering Arizona State as a student reporter. Remember doing that, going to the practices, sitting in the press conferences. And one thing that I don't think I'll ever forget as somebody who now has covered multiple coaches, a lot of coaching turnover, whether that be at Arizona State, at Notre Dame, anywhere, is that the day that it was announced that you would no longer be the head football coach at Arizona State, you took the time to address the media separately. And that is something that I will never forget. I don't think you understand what that did for a group of student reporters at Arizona State. It went a long way. And I don't think you got a fair opportunity to address the fan base after everything that you had brought to Arizona State. So I just want to give you the floor to address just Sun Devil Nation on their support for you over the years.
Been awesome. I mean, and I'll be honest with you, my approach was, how do you communicate with your fan base? The people that are, to me, the most important people, and this was my priority. My priority was the players and the people that had put that helmet on before me, while I was there, and after me, and then the fans. And so how you talk to the fans is through the media. So I called that press conference myself. Not a lot of people that get fired do that, because I just wanted to express gratitude. And at the time, I thought, man, hey, you know what? Hey, and I'll tell you, in 2016, we lost that Arizona game. I would have fired myself. I mean, that's how sick I was at losing that game and how poorly we played. But you know what? We went to work and we got it fixed. And I thought, hey, you know what? We did not reach our potential for where we wanted to be. Not what our goal. Our goals would be Pac-12 champions. We didn't reach that. But I thought we were on our way to building something that could compete year in and year out for that. The last year I think we won 5 games or beat top 25 teams that year. Five different opponents. One top 5 team in Washington. But to me, talking to the media in your fan base is something that there was no way I wasn't going to do that. And I did that all on my own. I called that press because I wanted people to know I was grateful and that, you know what, I understood. If 8 wins is not enough, then I'm saying, man, then let's hire the best football coach that we can get in here to take us to the next level. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. But, I think that I think we're in the right place now with Graham and the leadership that's in place. And I'm just so grateful to the fan base there. And that's why I had that press conference. And I wanted to show my players, that's how you respond to adversity. And at the end of the day, I want to be at a place that's about winning championships. And that's on the field, off the field, in the classroom, and in the community. All of it. And you can have all of it. And to me, we didn't accomplish that. And so, sometimes that's going to happen. And how do you respond to that? You respond with it. You show your gratitude. You show class and character and how you handle those situations. So that's why I did that. And, and I think it was the right thing to do. And, my hope was that we were going to elevate the program higher than where we had been whenever we were there. And so, that's why I did that. I'm very, very grateful to the fans. I encourage them to get behind, the program. One of the things that I like doing these interviews because I want to talk about it and let, that I want the fans to know that, what it does take to be successful, having the right leadership in place and the resources is something that is really critical. And I think at times we have had great people in place, but the resources has not been there to compete at the highest level. And that fan base deserves that. I used to tell our players in the locker room before we walked down the field, last thing I'd tell them, we'd be fixing to go through that Tillman tunnel. I start talking about it, I get chills on my arm. But I'd say give those fans what they want. And, let them hear, let them feel, let them see Sun Devil football and let it be played the way it should be played. And so, I'm very grateful to the fans there. I'm encouraged about where we're at as a program right now. And, man, I'm looking forward to great days ahead for the Sun Devils.
Well, Coach, I know Sun Devil Nation is definitely excited to hear this. Former Arizona State coach, Todd Graham, we appreciate you taking the time today, Coach.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys having me. Go Devils.
Where we're at. Coach Todd Graham using the we as if he's still an Arizona State Sun Devil. Chad in the chat, Coach Todd Graham should be at ASU in some form. Could see him doing something with fundraising. Absolutely. I am somebody that is a big believer that Todd Graham should be at Arizona State in some capacity, whether that be in the actual, the administration, in the coaching department, whatever. Todd Graham is a Sun Devil. JJB in the chat. What a guy. Absolutely, guys. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. Drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. JJB sums it up perfectly. Class act. Todd Graham, unlike any coach I think that I've ever had the luxury of talking to. And if you missed part of that interview, definitely go back, watch it, listen to it. He's one hell of a Sun Devil, and he always will be. Some really, really good stuff. That is going to do it, though, for today's episode of the PHNX Sun Devil Show. We're going to be talking about some Big 12 basketball on tomorrow's episode. We're also going to be talking about Jaden Daniels. The Sun returns to Tempe. We'll see if he can take down the Arizona Cardinals as a member of the Washington Commanders. Got a lot to talk about on Friday's show, but we're going to save all the Friday talk for Friday, guys. In the meantime, give us a follow at PHNX_Sun Devils. You can follow me at Anthony_Totri. You could follow the hall monitor, who is doing his best Jose Perez impression today, at Erik Ruby. That is Erik with a K. And you can follow the man setting sail, leading us through the 7 C's in the Big 12. That is Kyle at K Coop Sports. Captain Redbeard, I should say, guys. And we will be back on Friday. In the meantime, though, go Devils and peace.
We all silly like the mayor.